Moon Knight Episode 4 opens by picking up from the cliffhanger ending of Episode 3, in which the moon god Khonshu was imprisoned in a statue for helping Marc Spector and Layla chart a path to Amit's tomb. We see one of the Egyptian god avatars take Khonshu's statue to a room inside the Great Pyramid and place it on a shelf alongside dozens of other statues that presumably also serve as prisons for other Marvel deities. The other part of Moon Knight's Episode 3's cliffhanger left Marc Spector, Stephen Grant Moon Knight, powerless and incapacitated in the middle of the Egyptian desert. Well, that bad situation only gets worse, as Layla is stuck trying to protect Marc, not to mention her own life, from a truck full of baddies with some big guns. Layla proves wily and takes out the villains with their own ammunition, as Stephen finally gets back on his feet. Stephen and Layla follow the lead Khonshu provided and hightail it across the desert towards the location of Amit's tomb. As Stephen, Marc, and Layla play catch-up with Arthur Harrow's cult, the love triangle between Marc, Stephen, and Layla gets a bit hotter. Stephen and Layla finally kiss, just as they're about to enter the tomb. Leading up to that charged moment, Stephen confesses to Layla that Marc pushed her away to keep Khonshu from drafting her as his next avatar. Naturally, Marc and Stephen experience some serious interpersonal tension over Stephen and Layla hooking up. Though Marc is eventually somewhat grateful that Stephen told her the truth about Khonshu's desire to recruit her. That said, Marc does get Stephen with one good sucker punch to the face for kissing his wife. The inside of Amit's tomb proves to be an intricate maze, structured like the symbol of the Eye of Horus. Stephen's knowledge of the six paths of Horus help him and Layla find their way through the tomb, and eventually discover the tomb of Amit's final avatar, Alexander the Great. Being in Amit's tomb also brings the issue of Layla's dead archaeologist father to the forefront, forcing some long-awaited resolution on that front. The exploration of Amit's tomb also brings us what is arguably Marvel's most horror-themed sequence in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe saga. Marc and Layla's rush to catch Harrow had them miss a lot of warning signs that Harrow's cult of followers was meeting a grisly fate. Well, Stephen and Layla can't really ignore things any longer when they stumble into a chamber where a zombified sorcerer priest of Amit carving out organs from one of Harrow's unlucky followers, in preparation for Amit's resurrection. Layla ends up getting the worst of it, as the zombie priest nearly nabs her. Ever the badass, Layla dispatches the monster over a cliff. Layla doesn't get a second to breathe after taking out the zombie before Arthur Harrow is back in her face and trying to get into her head about Marc's connection to her father's death. And this time, Harrow's manipulations work. As Stephen achieves the height of discovering Amit's Ushbati statue inside the remains of Alexander the Great, he quickly drops to the low of having a furious Layla accosting him. Layla demands Marc take control and forces him to finally admit the truth. His partner in a mercenary group got greedy and killed her father along with everyone at the archaeology dig site. Layla blames Marc for bringing a killer across her father's path and for making their entire relationship his twisted guilt trip indulgence. When Harrow comes to take Amit's Ushbate from Marc and Layla, Marc tries to fight his way out, only to have Harrow pull a gun and shoot him twice, seemingly fatal. But instead of death, Marc wakes up in a different reality, one where every character and plot point from Moon Knight are apparently delusions of Marc Spector's mind, drawn from the mental institution where he is a patient. In this mental hospital reality, Harrow is Marc's doctor, Layla is a fellow patient he's bonded with, and Moon Knight is just a homemade action figure Marc carries around. Dr. Stephen Grant is a TV show hero. Drugs have Marc woozy and barely functioning, and despite the best advice of Dr. Harrow, Marc refuses to accept this wild new reality he's trapped in. Moon Knight Episode 4 ends with Marc finding out that this reality is not at all that, when he finds his Stephen Grant locked in a sarcophagus in one asylum room and frees his other self. The two sneak out of the asylum wing, not bothering to investigate the ominous sarcophagus holding their third personality, only to find the doors guarded by a humanoid hippopotamus in the Egyptian garb.